rental housing facts. I mean, since 2000, we've lost 38,000 rental units, right, to rent it for 500 or less. You ask somebody that may be new to the city, the area, go out trying to find a decent apartment.
Lost 38,000.
38,000 rental units that rented for $500 or less. So that's what we pretty much gauge as an affordable unit.
So what does that mean? So before, there were 38,000 homes where you can rent for 500 or less.
Correct.
That changed when?
Since 2000.
Since 2000?
Yeah.
Okay. And now that's because the cost of housing is...
Well, it's the market has driven it up. There are a lot of houses that are going dark, i.e. vacant, because people are no longer able to keep the housing in place. We were able, back in the years when it was a significant amount of money coming from the federal and state government, we were able to sustain a certain level because there was a lot of new construction, affordable housing. As an example, the state used to give us a...
Can I stop you right there for a
Sure.
second? Because when you mentioned new construction, now some of the opponents are saying that this could hurt new construction.
Right.
How do you respond to that?
Okay, so what I can say to those opponents, right? We've worked with the administration throughout this process. The initial version of what we were attempting to do was an inclusionary housing proposal that was put in place by Councilwoman Fiona Sanchez. And we worked on that, and the administration said, well, we can't get on board with that, come up with an alternative. So working with the administration, i.e. his head of Office Development and Planning, who has the housing in her portfolio,
Right.
Along with some organizations, the BIA, Building Industry Association, which is the largest developers group in the city, we crafted what is ultimately called the construction tax. With respect to the administration position, it's not clear. We'll know in a couple of weeks when the mayor either has to sign, not sign, or veto the bill. Given the work that's been put in and the time that we spent working with his administration, I would hope that he would be supportive. When we came to the public hearing was the first public acknowledgement that they had some concern.
Right.
The testimony centered around two things. One, Mr. Epps testified that they were concerned about Amazon. That was pretty much 85% of his testimony.
The Amazon will be reluctant to come here because
It's a
of this.
new tax.
Because of the
right?
new tax. Mhm.
And there are two realities. The 3 locations for Amazon that was proposed by the city are in KOZ zones, Keystone Opportunity Zones. Keystone Opportunity Zones, to be consistent with the zones itself where there were no taxes, to help stimulate, were taken out of the original version of the bill. So anything being built in the Keystone Opportunity Zone would be consistent with the state requirement of no new taxes.
Okay.
All right?
They will be exempted.
So they would be exempted.
Okay.
So that argument was no longer in play. The other argument that was in the public forum was the concern raised by the license and inspection about the ability to implement the bill. In terms of the mechanism, we believe it's quite simple, 1% of the cost of construction. When a developer puts their application in and starts their process, they indicate what they believe to be the cost of construction. You simply apply 1%, that would be the tax. We have calculated that tax, 1% would be equivalent to a half of 1 year's tax abatement. So you may say, well, what is that? The simple reality is, getting back to your earlier question and concern that were raised by some developers, the city of Philadelphia, based on our research, is the only city that has a 10-year, 100%, large city, 10-year, 100% tax abatement on new construction.
Right.
Right? We looked at every municipality. I'm on this National League of Cities Council Presidents group, and it's 30 cities. Out of all those cities, nobody else has such a lucrative tax abatement policy, right? Awesome, right? Everybody loves it. So the only people that have to pay the construction tax are people that get a 10-year, 100% tax abatement. The cost of the construction tax to those people will be half of 1 year. So
Half of 1 year or half of 1%?
half of 1 year.
So only the ones who are already getting the tax abatement for 10% will
If
be
you
affected
get-
by the tax.
If you're the only ones that have to pay the tax, if you get a 10-year, 100% tax abatement.
So who qualifies for that tax abatement then?
Anybody building new construction,
It
So-
must be new construction.
new construction,
And of any size?
and or a significant rehab or an addition to an existing building.
So if I build an outhouse, I have to pay, I can qualify for a tax abatement?
I don't think you'll be building an outhouse in the city.
Well, but I'm asking like a size, like is there a size restriction attached to it?
Well, there's language, that if you build whatever you build, and you get a 10-year tax abatement, then you have to pay the tax.
I don't understand. Make me understand, please. And the 1% construction tax
Right.
was the equivalent to what? As it relates to the
When you
update?
calculate the numbers, it will end up being a half of 1 year. So
But what is 1
say,
year?
for instance, 1 year, so you get a tax abatement over a 10-year period, you'll get, say, $1 million, well, something reasonable, say.
Say 100,000.
100,000, right? So that you get 10,000 for that one particular year, right? Because you get 100,000 over 10 years.
So it would be 10,000 a year
So
if
it'd be
this is
half
the
of
example.
10,000.
5,000.
Right. But yet you get $95,000 in tax abatements, which is a government subsidy. And that's the only people that have to pay this tax.
So is it all, okay, so is it all new construction or all new construction that receive the 10-year tax?
Anybody
abatement?
that benefit, anybody that qualifies for a 10-year tax. So if I have
Okay.
an existing building
Right.
and it's vacant,
And they would have to pay it.
they have to pay it. The developer.
Because everyone's not getting a 10-year tax abatement, right? I mean,
Well-
even if it's new construction, if you're building new construction, because the 10-year tax abatement is in particular areas, right?
Depends upon the zip.
No,
No, citywide.
Citywide.
you have to apply for it.
You have to
though.
apply
So if you're
for it.
seeking that subsidy from the city, all
If
we're
you're
asking
seeking
is
it.
that you give us this tiny amount, half of 1 year, back to us
Okay.
to put into the Affordable Housing Fund. So we're
Okay.
still subsidizing you more than any other
Oh,
city
now I
would.
get it.
Okay.
We're just
I
giving,
get
we're
it.
asking you to give back this small
Okay.
amount
That's
for
right.
affordable housing.
That's why I
Okay.
have people.
And if you don't apply for it, it doesn't, if you do
You
not
have to
apply for it as new
right.
construction,
Right,
it's
but
not,
the,
doesn't
but the
affect
abatement
it.
is often the incentive to build,
Okay.
so.
Well, what
Which is the
percentage of
most
people are-
lucrative in the country by far.
Well,
Right.
what percentage of people would be rejected? Or why would you be rejected if it's
From
new
a tax
construction?
abatement, 10-year tax abatement?
Yes.
Basically, anybody that builds anything new or significant,
Within reason.
they're taking it. I mean, I don't know why you wouldn't take advantage of a
Yeah,
10-year.
no, I just want to make sure that there aren't any restrictive caveats that would preclude the new homeowner from getting the abatement. So your point is,
You can't, it's an as of right. that they
so your
apply.
point is, this owner would have to pay the equivalent of 50% of 1 year of the 10 years.
Correct.
So 9.5 years, it would still be
Correct.
abated,
Yes.
is the bottom line.
Correct. Bottom line, you still get the most
You get it?
lucrative tax.
Because I
abatement.
did. I get it now.
I get it now. I guess my understanding of the tax abatement was a little different. I thought that it was for particular areas to attract homes.
Citywide.
So anywhere, you can, okay, so
Citywide.
you can,
Has it always been citywide?
it's always been citywide?
Citywide.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be citywide. We can actually decide that certain census tracts.
Yeah, I was led to believe at one time this zip code,
Now, we already
which
did.
is a very hot one.
Exactly. Certain zip codes were
19146
the area.
At one time, more than 10 years ago, more than 10, offered the abatement. But that, you're saying that's
Always
not
citywide.
true. It was always citywide.
Always citywide.
Oh.
And it used to be a different number. It started out at 3%. And then it went up, to, I think, to 5.
3% of what?
The tax abatement was, I'm sorry, it was
It's 3% to
3%. Then it went up, then it went up.
Oh.
So we changed the number.
3% of what the tax would have been,
Yeah.
and then it increased to a full,
Now it's a full.
the full amount.
Right.
So your position.
All
is
you're
that-
asking now, wait, I'm gonna
Okay,
get
sorry.
it, please.
Okay. Mhm.
So all you're asking now is that they would pay the equivalent of a half of a year's, the equivalent of half a year and they still would be exempt for 9.5.
Correct.
Where does that money go that they would pay?
So, this is unlike a lot of other taxes, the money that gets raised as a result of this actually goes back into the industry. So it goes back into
Meaning?
paying, building new housing,
Who's building the new houses?
anybody, even the people that are paying the tax abatement can say, well, you know what, I want to be a part of building affordable housing. I want to build houses and be able to offer down payment assistance to the people that buy into the new houses. I want to build new housing and rent. They are eligible to be a part of this plan to create an affordable Philadelphia.
How would it actually
Unlike
work?
the sugar tax,
Yeah.
tax
Don't
sodas
get me
goes
started
into
on
school.
sugar tax.
I'm just saying, you know, this is a program where the money gets funneled right back into the industry, which doesn't normally happen. I mean, we raise taxes for whatever, like we raised the parking tax once to fund schools. Right?
On any given night, there are nearly 4,800 persons, blah, 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 blah. So you would take this money to build housing for who? And who would do the building? And who would do
Anybody who's-
who would do the living?
Anybody that's applied, Philadelphians. So
you
on
would
the
build-
down payment
So you would
assistance,
build new houses?
yeah, we want to build, because we don't have enough affordable housing
Where would you build these houses?
anywhere in the city.
So would a builder like apply to receive the money or
Correct. The
something?
money will go through the current OHCD, which is the current OHCD. So we'll go through the city in terms of the people that, the money for the affordable housing as an example. That's
Right.
a portion of the money. Right now, the city of Philadelphia has set up a component, the Office of Housing and Development, PHDC, and RDA. So they're the housing entities.
Okay.
That money goes there. People would apply for that money the same
Who
way.
would apply?
Any developer, be a
A
for-profit,
developer
nonprofit.
would apply, okay?
So it will be the same thing. The problem is now, there's just not enough money to build enough affordable housing,
Okay.
right? The issue with respects to assistance for down payments, right? So right now, we're running a program for preservation and being able to get money in a loan program for homes, right? So now, we would say, okay, we want people to be able to buy houses, but they need assistance on down payment.
Yes.
The problem is because of the change in the regulations relating to after the housing market tanked, you're now required to have a significant amount more down payment.
Yes.
People can't afford the down payment. They can pay the mortgage, because the mortgage is usually around the same as
Yeah, well,
what people
sometimes the down payment is 20% at least.
Hey, and that's the
So to buy a
problem.
$50,000 house,
Exactly.
you gotta come up with $5,000.
Right. And that's our challenge, you know, that people want to stay in neighborhoods like this, and but they can't afford a down payment. So we're saying we should help these people, and this is for Philadelphians, because we want to promote Philadelphia staying in our city. We have, as an example, in these middle neighborhoods, right? One of the
Middle?
thing- Middle, we call them middle, the Oak Lanes, those neighborhoods, you know, some people call them
Congressman
choice
Evans,
neighborhoods.
Evans used that term a lot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we actually had some, I forgot to bring that. Evans and Parker have been working on this. So these are neighborhoods that, you know, when I
Stable
was growing
neighborhoods.
up, you know, people, can I move up to those?
Yeah,
You know,
right.
it was like a big deal to move up to West Oak
Right.
Lane and all that. There's not been any investment in those communities in a long, long time.
Correct.
When you look at the tax abatements and where they are geographically in the city.
30,
not-
40 years.
Not up in this area, in these houses.
That's what I was trying to understand then, because what you just said is, that was my understanding of the tax abatement. You said when you look at it, it's in those certain areas and not in the, so,
That's because people can choose where they want to build a new house.
okay, okay.
And
So they're just
if I
choosing
can-
to do
so
that.
as an example,
Okay.
If I can build a new house down the block that I can sell for 800,000,
Mhm.
and if I build a new house up in
Of
West
West
Oak
Oak
Lane,
Lane.
I'm only gonna be able to charge 250.
Right,
Where would I build a new house?
down the street here.
Right.
Okay.
So it's the market that's driving those discussions and those decisions.
Those decisions, okay.
So when you have these neighborhoods, right, that there's been no investment, people are aging, and, you know, we can't let those neighborhoods go down the tubes, right? You're starting to see the levels of deterioration. So by having a preservation initiative to preserve existing homeowners, by providing low-interest mortgages, loans for those individuals, for providing infrastructure support for those particular communities, we can now stem the tide of decline in these neighborhoods and stabilize it. Because when you look at the population trends, the population in the city in these perimeter neighborhoods around Center City are increasing.
Right.
But we're losing population in those neighborhoods because people are moving to Cheltenham, they're moving to Willow Grove, and they're saying, oh, I gotta get out of here. We can't let that happen, right? So that's why it's important for us to push this initiative to make sure that we stabilize our middle neighborhood. So everything that gets raised out of that goes back into stabilizing neighborhoods, creating opportunities in neighborhoods, and we're primarily focusing on Philadelphians because at the end of the day, again, we're excited about a lot of people that are moving into the city, but we gotta be equally, if not more excited about being able to help people that currently live in the city. And what we're asking for, and to be honest with you, when I went to that conference that I go to, when I told them I thought I was like, with the council president, they laughed at me because they didn't understand why I was only asking for 1%. And we'll send you some stuff. You look at all these other municipalities.
What's the average?
Oh, it depends. I mean, like in Chicago, they have an awesome proposal. Heard that? Heard that.
Mr. President, let's, man,
Yes.
let's, I was never good in arithmetic, but this is a little calculus to me. In 2018, the city through tax abatements is foregone 139 million in tax revenue,
Yep.
which is 10 times. But I want to zero in 139 million.
Okay.
10% of that would be 13.9 million.
Right.
1% would be 1,300,000. What are you going to do with 1,300,000 that helps someone acquire or get a new home?
Now, we're calculating that if we enact this, and we did an average of years, if this is enacted, we can raise anywhere between $15 and $20 million a year. And that's based on a 10-year average. So if you look at the new housing construction,
So it goes beyond, okay, all
yeah,
right.
because remember, it's the cost of construction.
Okay,
The 139 million is the amount of taxes, not the value of the property.
Right.
and he's referring to the value of the property.
Value of the property.
Not the tax,
Right,
which takes it to 1.3 to the 15 to 20 million.
you got it.
Is that the bottom line?
Yep.
But you remember that tax is a 10-year tax, so that money that they get forgo. I mean, it's like, and we're asking for like, it's low, because I thought we had an understanding.
So in 5 years, you could be talking about $100 million.
That's what you can start, if you're able to do this, if you want to start, because unfortunately, a lot of people, they're excited. People visit the city and they keep them down here and go to, these
We know
neighborhoods,
what they
Franklin
do.
Avenue. Oh, man, it's a great city. And then I talk to people, oh, I went to Philadelphia, it was awesome.
Right.
They don't go across
Into the city.
52nd
Your point is
Street.
we're not investing in our
We're
neighborhood.
not. If somebody's going to give me something, anybody, then you're going to say, okay, right? And we continue to give people 10-year, 100% tax abatements, right? And the developers are understandably saying, okay, great, thank you.
I just want to make sure everybody understands.
And it's like, why are we continuing to do that, And we say, well, if we're going to change the tax abatement, which people are saying we got to change it, it's too lucrative, then let's change it in a meaningful way that allows us to help stimulate growth in the entire city, to help Philadelphians across the city in all sorts of meaningful ways. And that's,
The councilman gets more questions.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask on that point, yeah, if your council is looking to chip into the 10-year tax abatement, is it time for to redo it or to scrap it altogether? What changes?
This is step one. This is step one. I'm saying,
And then
we
what are
want to,
steps 2 and 3?
we don't want to, this is not directly altering the tax abatement, but if you get a tax abatement, we're asking for you to pay into a fund to allow us to help develop the city of Philadelphia.
But you're saying it's so lucrative still. I mean, what
Well, I
other?
absolutely think it is. And I think that when the conversation continues during the school debate, there will be more concerns raised by individuals who are concerned about money that would normally go to the schools, not going to the schools. That would be a conversation for.
Oh, you talking about soda tax?
No, I'm saying the tax abatement. So the tax abatement
tax abatement.
is 55% for taxes, 55% for schools, 45% for the city. So there are people in the school conversation that are concerned about the tax abatement that's foregoing money that would normally go
Right.
to school.
Do you agree
Yeah.
with them? Do you want?
We'll get to that point, and we're gonna have that conversation. I just think the 10-year, 100% tax abatement should be changed.
All right.
Yeah, and obviously, I'm not new to that. I mean, we proposed bills.
Yeah.
Myself, Councilman Good, we co-sponsored around 4 bills years ago. I couldn't get the 9 votes. My thing is, I like, when we do things, you know, our team, working with members of council, I believe in getting involved in a process where we can ultimately come to a compromise and something that's actually going to happen. I don't like throwing out numbers that I know there's never going to be any chance of, because it's about achievements. And we think there's a number that there should be no pushback. I don't understand how anybody can reasonably say foregoing a half of 1 year, the 10-year, 100% tax abatement is onerous. I mean, that is the most bizarre thing I've ever heard. But people don't want to change, and this is select few. And as I said, the BIA, Building Industry Association, came and testified in support. They work with us
Who
to
did?
support Building Industry Association, right? The largest
Who they
organization.
Post that.
We'll get you a list. It's the largest.
Builders
Right.
Association.
Okay.
Yeah.
So therefore,
And one of the things, I just want to throw on that, one of the things that, and it's actually a little booklet, a slick little book.
so therefore, then I'm sorry, I'm
So
just
what they
trying-
asked
yeah.
us to do is to work on some regulatory issues, because there are a lot of things that we in the city do
Right.
from a regulatory perspective that create problems, roadblocks, hinder the ability to do their work. So if it takes time, it's money with development. So we actually introduced around 6 bills, passed 4 of them, that will help alleviate a number of problems in terms of the cost. So we wanted to some trade-off.
Okay.
If we can do something regulatory or legislatively that makes it easier for you to build, we'll do that, and we've done that. So we want to have a comprehensive approach, change the way you have to do things to make it less onerous on the development community. Create an environment where we can alter the 10-year tax abatement to provide money to go back into the industry to help Philadelphians in terms of providing affordable housing, helping us with homelessness, provide opportunities for middle neighborhoods, for preservation, put in place a program that allow individuals who want to stay in their communities to be able to buy into these gentrifying communities as opposed to being pushed out. This is an approach.
First steps towards making adjustments to the tax abatement program.
Correct.
What are steps 2, 3, 4?
Well,
And,
as always in council, because we are a legislative body, it requires conversation, it requires due diligence, and it requires 9 people. So I can't sit here and tell you what it's going to be, what it should be, and you know, we're real good about working together, getting input from all of the members of council, be it supportive, not supportive. We still solicit their input, which is why we've been quite successful. If you can recall, at the same time we were doing this, we were in the middle of crafting the budget. It was extremely controversial because the mayor was asking for a 6% tax increase, and we said we can't do that, and we came up with another strategy. That's because we sat down and worked with members to put the votes together necessary for the various revenue measures. So that's how I function, and that's how we function. So I can't tell you.
What are some
The company housing trust fund, so the housing trust fund isn't just for new units,
Right.
new construction or rentals and home ownership. They're for housing repairs that we do if you're an older senior citizen perhaps and your home, you don't have a boiler that works correctly or your roof is leaking, you can't afford to fix that. It is more economically efficient to allow you to stay in your home, and it's good for the stability of the neighborhood, that we allow people to preserve and keep their homes. So these are free repairs, free modifications. Say you're someone who's older and you need a wheelchair, we'll help you with a wheelchair ramp and we'll modify your bathroom. Because again, it's in our economic interest to make sure people stay housed, and it's in the neighborhood's interest to make sure that the homes stay populated. And that's where all these funds come from. So we have not been able to identify a significant new funding stream for the Housing Trust Fund since the Great Recession. The council president, he got passed a small increase in the realty transfer tax, which hadn't been raised in like 17 years or something, and that was to increase funds for the preservation programs, but the need is so great, which is why he and the other, Councilwoman Sanchez and Councilman Squilla, they came up with this new funding stream to support all the affordable housing that we do. I mean,
So-
$22 to $25 million annually is a lot. We can do a lot with that. We can do a lot in middle neighborhoods, declining neighborhoods, and in making sure that there's economic and racial balance, frankly, in the gentrifying neighborhoods. And again, if anybody has a better idea, and the council president said this, he's agnostic on how we do it.
City gets the money, the city puts an RFP out for somebody, construction team to come in to fix the property. It's traditionally, has minimal minority participation in contracts and in workforce. What we've done this time is we actually get to get project users where the entities, a lot of which will be community organizations and CDCs, will actually develop the sites themselves. So the thought is,
They're gonna develop the site?
yeah, the thought is if you have a nice town.
To be able to do that?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, these are groups,
To develop
like
the
Beach
site?
Corporation, you're very familiar with Beach.
Yeah.
Beach has probably 300 units of housing.
Yes,
Right.
they're
So
very capable.
can they fix a rec center? Absolutely,
Absolutely.
right. Nice Town CDC, similar, so it's
So
those
we
type.
have quite a few of those throughout the city
23.
that are as capable?
23,
I didn't know that.
absolutely.
Okay.
And that's the beauty of this
Fine.
program. That's why, frankly, I was good with it, because we know it expands the opportunities for people to build in their community. And the likelihood that they're gonna hire people, subcontractors in those neighborhoods is pretty high. So we're good. Next.
So,
You good?
So, Michael has already written a few articles about the, putting Philadelphians first and the construction tax, impact tax. You've passed it, you're waiting for the mayor. As far as you're concerned, it's done for the moment. So why did you want to talk about it today?
Because we would like to have the position of the Tribune. First of all, we obviously wanted to be out in a public way, and we would like, hopefully that the word gets out, because we know that you all have a wide-ranging community list, both in terms of online presence and in terms of distribution on that magical Sunday that we are trying to promote. We are trying to promote this particular Philadelphia First equitable development scenario in every meaningful way. I mean, you always lobby for it, because like they say, it's not over until it's over. So
You're not worried or anything?
I don't get worried, I just do my job. You know what I mean? Some stuff you have control over, some stuff you don't. You do your job, you focus. Getting worried has rarely changed anything.